Today we're making these fun, quick and easy trivets. It's the perfect project for a beginner. Okay, so what you'll need for this project first is some yarn, and you can choose as many colors as you like. I chose 4, and this is some scrap yarn I had left. It is 100% wool. It's a 5-weight yarn, so it's bulky. Make sure you use a natural fiber. You're going to be placing heat directly on these trivets more than likely, and if you use a synthetic fiber, you can melt it. So I would not recommend using acrylic. Cotton's a great choice, and cotton washes up really nicely and easily. I happen to have the wool, so I'm going to use the wool. The beauty of using a 5-weight bulky is that this is going to crochet up really quickly, which is nice. And also, because it's bulky, it'll provide protection for the surface that you're going to be putting your trivet on. The other thing we need other than the yarn is the crochet hook, which I used a 6mm J hook, a pair of scissors, and a yarn needle. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with the purple for the center of this trivet. And the first thing I'm going to do is make a magic circle. So what I like to do is I lay the tail in the palm of my hand, and I take the working yarn and I wrap it around these 2 fingers, and I make an X, and I grab that working yarn with that finger. Then I'm going to stick this hook under this part of the X, closest to the fingernail, and over top of the other side of the X, and pull that underneath and twisting up. Then I take this working yarn that I'm holding, I grab it with my hook, and I pull it through that little loop. And now I have my magic circle that I'm going to work into. So I am going to first chain 3, and that's going to count as my first double crochet. And then I want 11 more double crochets into the center of that circle. Okay, so to do a double crochet into the center, I first yarn over, go into the center of the circle, then yarn over again, pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And that's a double crochet. I'll show it to you again. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the center of my circle, yarn over again, pull a loop up. Now I have 1, 2, 3 on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now including my chain 3 at the beginning and my 2 double crochets, I have 3, so I need 9 more double crochets. So I'm going to do 9 more double crochets into the center of this circle, and I will meet you back here after that. Okay, so I have my 12 double crochets, and I count them by the posts. Here's my chain 3. There's another post there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now here's the beauty of the magic circle. I'm going to take that little tail and I'm just going to pull on it until the center is completely closed. That's beautiful. So, and the reason I want the center completely closed is because for the trivet, I'm going to be putting hot stuff down. I didn't want a hole in the center of my trivet. Okay. So next I'm going to close this up by going to, here's my first chain 3, and here's my first stitch. I like to actually go into the top of that first double crochet rather than the top of the chain 3. I feel like it's a little sturdier. So I'm going to go into that stitch there. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through the loop on my hook, and that's a slip stitch. Then I like to yarn over and just pull through, and then I will cut this off and pull it tight. And there's my circle. I like to fasten off at the end of each round. I'll show you how I fasten off. That way I don't have to do it all at the end. So I use my yarn needle. And the way I fasten off is, I don't know if you can see, this pull here is coming out this direction, so I like to go back the other way. You don't want to go into the hole it's coming out of. You go over top of it and into a little further down one of the stitches, like that. Then I pull it through. Then I go about halfway back, or a little bit back. Not all the way back to where I started the last time, but maybe right about here. And I go under, and I go a little further than I am now. So I end up pulling out ahead. There we go, like that. And you can do another time if it makes you feel more secure. There we go. Then I cut it off. Okay, so the next color I'm going to choose is going to be my yellow, or ochre, whatever you want to call this. And I'm going to make a slip stitch in my yellow so that I can attach it. And I don't use a hook to make my slip stitch. I wrap it around my finger like this, and then I just take the working end and I pull it up through the center and pull it, and that's my slip stitch. Okay, so now I don't like to join where I just ended. It creates a bump, so I'll just pick another stitch, any other stitch, and I'll put my hook in, and I will take my slip stitch and pull it through. There we go. And let the tail hang. And then I'm going to chain 3. It's going to be my first double crochet. And then I'm going to double crochet into that same stitch that chain 3 is coming out of. So another double crochet into that stitch. Now I have 2 double crochets coming out. Well, the chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then the other double crochet. And now I'm just going to go around and put 2 double crochets in each stitch. So here's the next stitch. And you can see I'm laying the tail, let me just show you. I'm just laying the tail along the side as I go around and covering it up. There we go. If that's too confusing for you, just weave it in at the end. Okay, so that's 2 double crochets in that stitch. And I go on to the next one, 2 double crochets. And I'm going to go all the way around until I have 24 double crochets, or 2 double crochets in each stitch. And that's how we're making our circle get bigger. So I'm going to keep going around and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I have my 24 double crochets. I just put my last 2 in this stitch, and now I am going to slip stitch just like we did in the first round, not to the top of the chain 3, but to the top of the first double crochet there. So I'm going to put my hook into that, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on my hook. And you can see I still have to weave in that purple end. And then I pull this out and cut it off. There we go. That's our second round. Now I'm going to weave in my purple end. When you're weaving in one of the colors, always weave into that same color. You don't want to weave into the yellow. It may pop through and show on the other side. So it's just neater to weave into that same color. Okay, so I'm ready for the third round. And I think for this trivet, I'm just going to make it purple and yellow. Change it up. So for the third round, I am going to take my purple and make a slip knot. And again, I'll join in any spot, but I don't want to do it where the last slip stitch was. I just don't want it to get too bumpy. So I'll pick any stitch. I'll pick one over here, go into the stitch, pull my slip knot through, and then I'm going to chain 3. Okay, now we're going to increase again for this round, but instead of putting 2 stitches in each, or 2 double crochets in each stitch, we are going to do 1 double crochet, then 2, then 1, then 2. So my chain 3 is counting as 1. So now I'm going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And I'm just going to lay my end, my little tail there and work over top of it. It'll save me from weaving it in at the end. Okay. So that was 1 and 2, and now I'm going to do another double crochet in the next stitch. Then 2 into the next. 1 and 2. And then a single into the next. You can see I'm just holding this yarn along the edge as I go. A double crochet, but only one of them into this stitch. And then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And you continue that pattern all the way around. You should end on a stitch with 2 double crochets in it, and you should have 36 stitches when you're done this round. I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, I'm at the last stitch here, so I'm going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch, not to the top of the chains, but to the top of the double crochet, right there. Yarn over, pull through that, and pull through the loop on my hook. Then I do what looks like a chain, and just pull it and cut it off. Okay, so there we have it. That is our third round. It's looking nice. Next, I'll go back to my yellow, and I'm going to join somewhere before this tail, like a few stitches before, so that I can just hold it down as I go. I'll start over here. And I'll make a slip stitch with my yellow. There we go. And just pull that through and chain 3. Now this time, instead of doing every other, we're going to do single, single, double, single, single, double all the way around. And what I mean by that is 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Then 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So my chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Then I'll put a double crochet in the next stitch. And then in the third stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. So every third stitch, you're going to put 2 double crochets. Okay, so I have 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets in the next. And I'm going to do that again. 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next, and I'm just laying my yarn next to that, my tail end, so I can weave it in. And then in the next, I'm going to do 2. 1, and same stitch, 2, just like that. And 1 double crochet in the next, 1 double crochet in the next, and then 2 double crochets. And you're going to do that all the way around until you have 48 stitches, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, so now we're at the last stitch and I need 2 double crochets. You should always be ending with 2 double crochets in a stitch for your last stitch if you're counting correctly. If not, if that doesn't happen, make sure you go back and count your stitches. So that's 2 double crochets, and then we're going to slip stitch not to this chain but to the top of the first double crochet. There we go. And then I chain, or it looks like a chain, I yarn over, pull it through, and cut it off. There we go. The end of round 4. It's looking good. I'm going to move to the purple. So the idea behind increasing stitches each round is to get it to lay flat, because as your circle grows, your circumference grows, so you're going to need more stitches to fill that in. If it should start to cup too much, like this, then that means you need to increase more stitches. If it starts to ruffle, kind of ripple, like that, that means you have too many stitches trying to fit into the circle, and so you would need to have less increases or decrease the number of stitches. This seems to be working well, so we're going to continue on with this pattern. Okay, on to round 5. We're almost there. There's 6 rounds and then our edging and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch. I mean, not slip stitch, make a slip knot with my purple. And I'll pick a stitch to go into. I'm just going to pick this one here and attach my purple. And I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't count that first attaching chain as a chain. All right, and I'm just going to lay my tail along the side as I go. Now for this round, you've probably guessed it already, I'm going to do a double crochet in a stitch 3 times and then 2 double crochets in the 4th stitch. Okay, so this counts as my first. I'll double crochet in the next stitch. I'll double crochet in the next stitch. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and in my 4th stitch, I'm going to put 2 double crochets. And again, same pattern, a double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and a double crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next. 1, 2, 2, and you're going to continue this pattern all the way around, and you should have 60 stitches at the end of this round. And again, we're up to our last stitch, and we have 2 double crochets to go into that stitch. 1, 2, and we'll slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet. Yarn over, pull through the loop, and cut off. There we go. Getting there, one more round. Okay, moving on to our last round. We'll get the yellow again. And I'm going to slip knot, make a slip knot, and attach into any stitch. And chain 3, 2, 3, counts as my first double crochet. And you guessed it, a single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochets in the next. So it's basically going to be 4 stitches with a single double crochet in each, and then on the 5th stitch, you're going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, so this is the second. Third. Fourth. And then in the 5th stitch, I'm going to do 2 double crochets. 1, 2. So you can see there. And then I'm going to do that all the way around. One double crochet, another into the next, and 1 into the next. That's 1, 2, 3. I need 1 more into the next. And then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, and you should have 72 double crochets at the end of this round. And I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I just finished putting 2 double crochets into that last stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this double crochet here. And going to cut this and then fasten off. So now I have a total of 72 stitches all the way around. I'll weave in my end, and I'll meet you back here for the edging. Okay, it's time for our edging, to put our little fancy touch. So first thing, I'm going to slip knot and enter any stitch, pull it through, and then I just chain to secure it, just like that. Now, I am going to single crochet in the same stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and single crochet into the next. And again, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 2 stitches, and single crochet into the next. And you're just going to do that all the way around. Chain 5, skip 2 stitches and single crochet into the next. And you keep going, you see the design starting to come to life. Keep going all the way around and I will meet you at the end. Okay, I'm all the way around on my last chain 5 here. And I'm going to skip 2 and now I'm back to that very first stitch there. And I'm just going to go into, well, I'm going to go into this stitch and single crochet. There we go. And then pull through, cut this off. And I'll sew that in. And that will be that. There you have it, a trivet.